Number one group of five football podcast in all of the world. This is the Group of Five Guys. Our mission is to bring pride and excitement to these group of five football programs, is to be the voice for the group of five football programs that the mainstream sports media absolutely refuses to be. We need everybody's help to do that. We need you to follow us on all the social media platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel, give us a 5-star rating, leave a review. Most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. On this episode of Inside Drill, Mountain West action, UNLV head coach Barry Odom joins the group of five guys. We're going to talk about NIL. We're going to talk about Vegas and all the entertainment that they got going on there. We're going to have him give his take on the group of five separate playoff. There's going to be plenty more. Hope you enjoy the show. Well, guys, we've been on this path of getting some head coaches, athletic directors on, getting their take on the current landscape of college athletics, college football in particular. To be honest, we haven't been able to have a ton of correspondence out in the Mountain West, which we've been meaning to get out to a little more, reach that fan base. So tonight, we've got a big-time honor of getting a head coach that's been, at the highest level in college football, and now, has the defending Mountain West runner-ups going into this 2024 season. We've got UNLV head coach Barry Odom joining the group of five guys. Coach, thanks for coming on, man. Welcome.
Great to see you guys, and much respect for the job that you do. You're always welcome in Vegas. Some people can handle Vegas, some can't, so I don't know about the two together, but would love to have you back. And last year was the 25th year of the Mountain West Conference, and you look at strength of conference from top to bottom now after playing in the league for 1 year. Tremendous coaches, really good players, and it's a great brand of football. Obviously, by the history and the significance that we will play as college football continues to grow and change and revolutionize, we're going to make sure that we've got a place at the table, so to speak.
I love it. Well, Coach, before we get into that, before we get into the X's and O's, the blocking and tackling, the UNLV stuff, I want to know a little bit about you. Obviously spent a ton of time, coaching and playing at Missouri, but just walk us through, growing up, what made you want to play football and then get into coaching?
Yeah, I grew up in a small rural town in Oklahoma. Forever, football and sports was kind of our way of life, and the community involvement that it had, the impact that I had with the coaches I had an opportunity to play for. I always dreamed of playing on the college stage and had a chance to do that. Went to the University of Missouri and had a really good 4 years there, had success. Larry Smith was my head coach at the time and was a wonderful mentor. And then I was a high school coach right after I finished up. I wanted to get into the college game, started as a graduate assistant under Gary Pinkel at Missouri. And then from there, had a number of different roles from graduate assistant to director of recruiting, director of operations, defensive backs coach. Then I left and went to Memphis with Justin Fuente, and we were able to turn around that program. That was football season of 12, 13, and 14. Went back to Missouri as a coordinator, and then was hired as the head coach there in the football season of 2016. Was there 16 to 19, and then was relieved of duties then after a 6-6 year, and ended up going to Arkansas as the defensive coordinator. Was there with Sam Pittman for 3 years, and then that turned into the opportunity that we have at UNLV. So a lot of different experiences. I think you always learn from those that you've been in, the experiences, and then once you get the opportunity, you apply those things, and that's what we're doing here. We took an SEC blueprint and put it into play in our program, from recruiting to practice plans to the structure on how we do things. And I think UNLV's got such great opportunity to be a player on the national stage.
Well, Coach, obviously winning helps a whole lot, but in a city like Las Vegas with so many things that you can do, it really seems like, especially last year, the city has supported you guys and showed up for you guys. What have you done specifically as the head coach and just as a program as a whole to get more excitement from the fan base in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I think I was worried about that, quite honestly, when I took the job. A population of 2.5 million people is there enough space for college football with Formula One here, with NASCAR, with the Raiders, with the Aces, with the Golden Knights, with every concert available. But then you look at, that's what appealed me to the job more than anything, because the opportunity here, because it's really become the sports mecca of the world. We had the Super Bowl here, we had the Pro Bowl here, we had the Shrine Bowl here. Everything is centering around Vegas, and there's plenty of space for college football, and we started to prove that last year. There was excitement. There's always a buzz in the city on something that's happening. And then now, with the success that we had, there's starting to be a buzz about college football and specifically UNLV football. So a number of ways to reach that. There's 36 high schools in the city. It's the outreach with the high school coaches. It's the recruiting. It's the understanding that we're an open door policy, and we're going to embrace Las Vegas and what this city has to offer. And it's proving to be very, very opportunistic for what we're trying to get done with our program.
Coach, with all the, you mentioned all the concerts and the sports teams, all the entertainment and celebrities and I guess money flowing in and out of Las Vegas, how does that help with, potential NIL when you're recruiting, or do you guys have a collective, or what's going on with NIL there?
It's funny. I was in the SEC for however many years before I got this job. So we had NIL before it existed in that league.
Oh, did you?
I know the way I've heard about those things. I don't know. No, all joking aside, we're got a number of heavy hitting donors that are really tied into our program. They want a successful program. So we're doing everything we can to stay on the cutting edge of what the NIL foundation and footprint looks like. And, right now through the portal window, and, there's so many opportunities for kids. And I agree with that. I think student athletes should have the opportunity to be able to have some income on their name, image, and likeness. And the things that we have in our program are based on a lot of things that are important about getting your degree, about winning football, winning championships, getting ready to go play in the NFL. And then also with that, if you do that on a stage like Vegas, you're going to get recognized, and people are going to help you out in that world as well.
Obviously, being in Vegas, the Raiders are there, and as a lifelong Raider fan, do you guys have a working relationship with them or with any other players or coaches, or just would love to know if there is a relationship there?
It's amazing how the collaboration and the work between UNLV and the Raiders has been. They gave us a $1 million donation that went to our athletic department and our football program within the last calendar year. The Davis family has been tremendous. Sandra Morgan, the president, has been outstanding. We share the stadium. We share Allegiant Stadium with the Raiders. So the ability to get in there to show recruits, it's one of the best, if not the best playing arenas in all of college football. So the work's been great with the Raiders. We're always trying to do things that help our student athletes, but also the city together on playing a brand of winning football.
Coach, you talked about your time at Missouri, and, Missouri is not necessarily a traditional SEC power. And then you go to UNLV, where you've had schools like Boise State and Fresno State sort of dominate the conference. Is there anything you take from Missouri trying to, I guess, climb that ladder to get up with the traditional Alabamas and Georgias of the world and bring that to UNLV?
Yeah, I look at the success that Coach Pinkel had there. He did a great job and won 2 East championships, and I had a chance to be on, his staff for 15 years and seeing those things. And then they had great success this year, building back to what, they had opportunities and won games there that had a great year. So, you look at all the experiences. When we took over at Arkansas in the SEC, they had some down years, and then we were able to build them back, won 9 games our second year there. So it's all really the ability to recruit great players. Okay, we're all better players with really good. We're all better coaches with really good players. So recruiting is so important, the lifeblood of your program, but also the experiences and being on the stage, and also understanding that we've got enough resources here. We've got enough people within the organization to go, and our standard, just like last year, our standard is to win championships. And we got in the championship game and we came up short. So, I don't want UNLV to take a backseat to anybody. And, you look at traditionally who has been good or not so good in the conference. I don't want to be judged on anything prior to us getting here. And then the standard now for us is everything we do is do it at championship level. And we need to, we learned a lot about ourselves. We got in the game last year and we came up short. And there's reasons that happened. Credit to Boise and the way that they performed in that game. But, our goal is to win that game and then get in a position where you're in the conversation for the expanded playoffs.
Coach, you guys finished up spring ball, I think, on the 6th of April. How did spring go? What did you like? Give us a little preview on what to expect going into this season.
Yeah, we were really a young team last year, if you look at number of years and then experience on the field. So I thought, the challenge as our coaching staff, we were, went into it to try to make sure everybody that played last year was a better football player. Okay, no matter how great they played last year, Ricky White had 1,500 yards for us. They're a great receiver, All-American. He had to have a better spring than he did last fall. And if we didn't, then we cheated our program. So that was the goal going into it. And I can say after 15 practices, we're a lot better football team today than we were really at any point last year. So now, how good can we get in the month of May? What can we do in our summer ball program to make sure that we're continuing to move it forward? And then our schedule lines up, very, very challenging. We open at Houston on August 31st. Week 3, we go to Kansas. Week 5, Syracuse comes here. So the schedule, and then you go to Oregon State, you've got Boise, you've got Fresno, you've got all the different people in our conference. We need to be really good. We need to be really good early. So we understand that, the urgency of the here and the now. We can't allow a cruise control anywhere in the program because if we do, we're going to get beat. And our margin there is pretty slim, but we understand that. We understand who we are, and we're going to be really good on special teams. We've got to play great defense, get the ball back for our offense, and then offensively, we got to be able to run the ball and score points. So, the hallmark of who we're going to be as a program is built around the philosophy of being hard, smart, and tough. And those things are built not just on Saturday when we walk into the arena. They're built on your habits that are throughout the day, throughout the year, and then throughout the different segments of winning edge program, winter conditioning, spring ball, summer ball, and then our fall camp will get us in position to play winning football.
Coach, I know you only about a season and a half in the Mountain West right now, but it's probably the one conference at this Group of 5 level where nobody's surprised anymore when no longer, but a Pac-12 or Big 12 team is knocked off. It's happening every single year. I mean, it's been happening. Boise State probably started it way back when in the Fiesta Bowl, but every year it seems like this Mountain West Conference goes toe-to-toe with the biggest brands in college football, and nobody blinks an eye, whereas in some of these other conferences, when an App State beats a Texas A&M, it's, all over the place. But when somebody in the Mountain West wins, just talk about that from, I guess, a brand standpoint in the conference on why you think that is, if there's anything to that, or is it just, coincidental?
I know I was on the wrong side of that a couple of years ago, 2019. I took a Missouri team to Laramie, Wyoming, and they beat us, and Coach Bowl beat us. And, I think they did the same thing this year to Texas Tech. We beat Vanderbilt head-to-head. Unfortunately, we played at Michigan as well this year. That one didn't turn out in our favor. But, it can be done. We've got really good players. And I think most of the guys in this league have a chip on their shoulder, and they want to prove that we're playing really good ball. And I think if you look, as you mentioned, over the course of the last 25 years, the Mountain West has got some marquee wins in college football.
Do you think there's anything, beneficial, the fact that, we're here in the South where there's, 6, 7 Division I schools within 100 miles of each other, where there's a little more spread out. Do you think that's beneficial as far as like the fan support, the recruiting, anything to that?
That could be a little bit just regional brand. And I know for us, we're among all the other things going in Vegas, college football has become big for UNLV in this space. And then, you can go 3.5 hours west and you're in LA. You can go 4.5 to the east and south and you're in Phoenix. So geographically, UNLV is in a place that we can gain some regional recognition because of the population base that's so close to Vegas.
Yeah, and you mentioned players and the NIL and transfer portal. Seems like on defense, anyways, for the spring game. You guys got bigger and longer in the back end. Was that a point of emphasis for you guys, or just
Yeah.
something that kind of just happened?
No, I think we understand at least some physical traits that we wanted to try to improve. Line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, which we addressed those things, and then some things on the back end on how we want to play defensively. We needed to get a little bit bigger physically, and we were able to do that not only through portal, but junior college recruiting, high school recruiting. But we also got a group of guys right now that transferred in from relationships that, a couple of guys on staff and myself had from before that really have been impact guys at different places they've been. And we certainly expect them to be the same way here.
Coach, is there anybody in particular, after spring, whether it be a transfer or high school kid, returning player that, big improvement and somebody we should watch out for this fall?
Yeah, I look I'll start on the offensive side, and our right tackle, Tiger Shanks, has got maybe more starts than anybody in our entire program. And that's easy to just take for granted. But that spot up front, Jalen St. John, another guy that he transferred from Arkansas, has got a chance of being a really good player. He's got position flexibility, can play all 5 spots up front. Jet Thomas led the country last year in rushing touchdowns for a freshman. He's back. He had an unbelievable spring. And then you look at on the outside, Ricky White, which I mentioned before. Jacob DeJesus was an All-American punt and kick returner back in the slot. Casey Kane, a kid that we got from the University of Texas from the portal. All 3 had terrific springs. And then our tight end, we got 2 tight ends that I think really are as talented as you'll find a tandem in college football. And then on the defensive side, Antonio Doyle was a transfer that came in, had a great spring. I recruited him when he was up Missouri. He ended up going to A&M, ended up finding a way back to have a chance to coach him. Jackson Woodard inside at linebacker was on some list, All-American level last year, was all conference, had over 120 tackles, a terrific player. And then really you look at the back end for us, John O'Baldwin returns. He's got a chance playing year 2 in the system, got a chance of being a really good player. Cam Oliver, Tony Grimes, Malik Chavis, Jalen Catalan, 4 of those guys are transferred in that we're really, really excited about. Really the structure on what we have, we've got a lot of work to do, but the structure we have, we've got an opportunity to play better ball.
And then offensively last year, 3rd in the conference in yards per game, 1st in points per game. But, you're going to have somebody different running the show at quarterback. How'd the quarterbacks look in spring, and what's kind of your feeling there?
Cam Friel was a guy that was on our roster last year and really worked his way into a backup role as the season went on. And he's playing better ball right now than he ever has before. Terrific leader, understands the offense, excited about him. We got a transfer from Campbell University, Haj Malik Williams, that was able to go through spring practice with us and really had a great spring. And then we've got another transfer coming in May. And those 3 guys are going to battle it out, and we're excited on what they're going to do. We're excited about the understanding that they have right now in our offense. And then if they can deliver the ball, everybody around them, they need to play better ball. If they do that, make their job easier. We got to be able to run the ball. If we do that, that'll open up. I think we got a chance now with the speed on some of the positions on the outside. I think we've got a chance for a very, very effective linear passing game down the field. So excited about what we built on that side. And also with that, guys, we got 9 of our 10 coaches that are back, and that's huge. And, offensively, I only call the touchdowns, plays we score.
Yeah.
Defensively, it's either tackle for loss or turnover or a 3rd down stop. Other than that, the coordinators, Coach Shear on defense, Coach Marion on offense, and then Coach Shivas, what we did on special teams last year really gave us a chance to win games.
Coach, to switch gears on you a little bit, I was telling you a little bit before we started going, there's a raging debate right now in the Twitter sphere about a separate group of 5 playoff. You're a guy that spent a lot of time in the SEC. Now you're one of us. What's your take on that? Where do you think we are or what's your opinion on expanding the playoff or what we need to do?
Yeah, I think, it's always whatever my opinion is. Really, there's going to be some that agree and not agree, obviously. And that's the great thing about, the game of college football. There's so much interest that there's a lot of opinions out there. What is right? I don't really know. I know that we're trying to build a roster. We're trying to do everything we can to compete to win a championship. And we want to win our conference championship. And if we do that in the Mountain West, then we should be in the conversation for what is right now the 12 expanded teams. And you look at historical significance on this, what this league has done. I think if you give an opportunity on the champion of this league to go play whoever the next team is, a seat at the table, we'll embrace that. Our kids will look forward to the opportunity to go compete again with the chance to play one more game. And I think Derek Newley's got some opinions on, making a tournament that way. He was one of my offensive coordinators at Missouri when I was there. Josh Heupel was before that. So, so many people in the business. And I think if you look at all the things that everybody's trying to accomplish, I think we need to look at, number one, the experience for our student athletes. Number one, that's what, with the decisions that should be made, we should look at what is the best experience for them. The opportunity for them to compete at the highest level, what does that look like? Let's create it. Let's get behind it, because college football has been around for a long, long time, and it's been the main event for as long as it's been around. It's going to continue to stay that way. Let's make as many opportunities as we can for these young guys in college football.
I like it. Well, Coach, we talked a little bit. You said some people can handle Vegas, and I think the biggest challenge for us is going to be to convince our wives to let us go.
It's for everyone. They should come as well.
There we go.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
My wife and I have been married 24 years, and she's got to feel for Vegas. So you can bring your wives, and they can go do that Vegas style, and I'll welcome you to my city anytime.
There we go.
That sounds good. Well, let me ask you this, Coach. Is there you rattled off a bunch of games on the schedule. They're all big time games, important games. Is there a specific home game that the city's going to especially get up for?
No, I think now they understand our brand of ball. They understand how important every single game is. I've talked all the time publicly about turning it into a home field advantage on the things that we're trying to do. They understand that. You look at the Golden Knights and you watch their atmosphere, and it's awesome. Unmatched. And so there's some things that we've got in the works that we're trying to turn it into. Obviously, understand if you win, that stuff is going to happen. And I want it where you walk into Allegiant that you can feel it being a real college football game, and we're getting close to breaking down that wall to where it's that way every single week.
I mean, I'll say this, and Jeff, I know, can attest to it. A lot of people have these negative connotations about a pro stadium or an off-campus stadium, but 2 years ago, we had a chance to go out to San Antonio and go to the Alamo Dome for a championship game, and that place was as loud as any stadium at any level that I've been to, and the tailgate was just as good, if not better, and there's no question that you guys can do the same. Like Jeff said earlier, you keep winning and you keep building relationships in the community.
Yeah, that's the plan. I appreciate it, fellas.
That's it. Thank you, Coach. You got to get us some UNLV gear.
Send me an address. It'll be on its way.
Love it. Thank you so much, Coach.
Thanks. Take care.
Do I even have to say what I say after every interview, Jeff? I'm in. I'm bought in. I'm sold.
I mean, I already thought that they were going to be a top team in the Mountain West after last season's performance. But, man, it seems like not only did they keep a lot of the key players from last year, and like he stated with the NIL, just situation that they have at their disposal, they got guys in the portal. They had some really good high school kids come in, and, man,
well,
good time to be a Rebel right now.
Normally when we ask a coach, like, is there any players that, like, really jumped off the page, like, in the spring, they say, like, one guy on offense, one guy on defense. I'm pretty sure he rattled off the 22 deep right there. I mean, and just like that, which that brings complete side note. All the guys he just rattled off, just top of his head. You remember a few months ago when, Coach Prime didn't know the name of his starting center or whatever. You remember that whole debacle? Sure, and people were defending him. Like, do coaches really know? Yes, bro, they do. They know their players. But anyway, yes, to me, man, just like, I think he was doing a really good job. It was like a quiet confidence I thought he had.
I agree.
Like, trying not to beat their chest too much. Still a lot to prove. But I think he feels really good about the roster. And again, that's a guy that's been around a lot of football, a lot of good players, a lot of good teams. And I think he feels really good about the roster. And I think he should. I mean, they had a fantastic year last year. And honestly, they kind of just stubbed their toe at the end of the year. Otherwise, that was a 10-win team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the bigger key maybe, and he alluded to it, was keeping all their key coaches.
Yeah,
I mean, you
that's
have
very interesting.
You have all that experience, all that continuity coming back. That is such a important key factor in making everyone comfortable. It's like another year in the same system, whereas you might get a different OC, a different DC. They're going to try and run the same stuff, but that kind of understanding of thinking the way your coordinator thinks, that's different because it's a different human being. So now you get all those coaches back. You got your players back. You add some talent on top of it. I mean, I agree with you. I think there was a quiet confidence there. And then here's the kicker, looking at their conference, you avoid, because of the new style, I guess you call it, of conference, you avoid Air Force, you avoid Wyoming, you avoid Colorado State, which Colorado State I think is on the up and up. Wyoming and Air Force have both been top teams. And then you get Fresno State at home, Boise State at home, and San Diego State at home. Now, they have a tough stretch in the beginning of their season, but a lot of that plays into their favor as far as conference goes.
Well, and what they get Syracuse at home too, so you get one Power 5 opponent at home, and then their other Power 5 is Houston
and Oregon State on the road.
Yeah,
and Kansas on the road. They got a tough non-conference.
They got a brutal, yeah. Well, but here's the thing, though. You know what I want to say about that? Like, none of those are, it's Oregon State. It's not Oregon. You know what I mean? It's Syracuse. It's not Clemson from the AC. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are winnable games. It's honestly one of those schedules that's good because they can win. Theoretically, they could win all of those. It's not like they're going to take a game where they just get smoked and get a bunch of guys beat up. The guys getting beat up is going to happen in that conference regardless. But,
I'm trying to figure out when their bye is, though. Their bye doesn't come till way late in the season. Which that's the only thing that, you talk about how important health is. I mean, let me just list it off. You go at Houston, Utah Tech at home, at Kansas, Fresno State at home, Syracuse at home. Like that 3 stretch right there that's a bit of a gauntlet. And normally around there is when, you start looking at a possible bye, but then they go at Utah State, at Oregon State, two games on the road, Boise State at home. And then they go at Hawaii, which is a long travel.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
well, you almost look at that schedule kind of how you look at how Boise State's done like the last couple of years, where the first half of the season you're just not real sure about them. You know what I mean? They kind of they stumble or they lose one they shouldn't have won, but then week 10, 11, you're like, oh, here they are again, about to win the conference again. So you look at the schedule like that, and you could have something like that with UNLV, but man, I would love nothing more for it. I mean, why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an entertainment city. Like what's more, there ain't nothing in this country more entertaining than college football.
No.
I don't care what anybody says, especially when you have a good product. And, they've got some big time brand name opponents coming to their facility this year.
Yeah, sure do. And you made a good comparison. I know Allegiant Stadium's a whole lot bigger than the Alamo Dome, but dome is a dome. Like that sound gets trapped, and if you get a good crowd in there against a good opponent, and that place is going to be rocking, especially like when Fresno State comes to town, when Boise comes to town. You got to think that those teams are going to travel some too. I mean, they want to go to, they want to go to Vegas. They want to have a good time and support their team. So like I think they're doing it the right way, and he seems to have a good feel for the city.
Yeah.
And I love just saying he's, all the high schools in the area, like
they
they're
got
going there, grassroots, hitting the ground, making sure it's an open door policy, not being, some coaches, not recently, but I remember growing up, like you'd want to go see, and they wouldn't even let you in the building, wouldn't even talk to you. And I guarantee you, like, they're just like, come on, we'll talk to you. We'll see. I mean, you might not be, the guy we want to recruit, you know what I mean? But we're going to talk to you. We're going to make you feel, and that way you're going to support UNLV in the long run. The family's going to support UNLV. It's just awesome.
Well, and you have one of the national powerhouses right in your backyard in Bishop Gorman.
Yeah.
And then one thing too I noticed, and this is happening at a lot of places, and I should have asked him this, but he talked about a couple of guys that he recruited when he was either at Arkansas or at Missouri, and the relationship sort of stayed there. And I hope that these kids and their parents and these coaches now are, this is why you don't burn bridges, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just never know. And it could go, you could have a kid from Bishop Gorman that maybe you don't want to recruit him out of high school and he goes JUCO or something. And then 2 years later, you're like, damn, we want this kid. And just think if 2 years ago you didn't let him come watch practice or whatever, you know what I mean? But it's all relationships, man. It's what pretty much anything in this world is about. But can't thank Coach Odom enough, man. Can't thank him for. We got to get some more Mountain West people. So I'm hoping we get a big UNLV, contingent to jump over on Twitter and stuff like that. I know their OC, Coach Marion's all over Twitter. So we got to get their fan base all over it. But Coach, thank you so much for coming on.
Too, man.
I know we got to get a lot of places, Jeff, and that one is a tough sell for my wife and children.
No,
and
it's easy.
There's like so okay. So Statesboro is one thing, but then you got places like Vegas, New Orleans, and Tulane. We gotta get out there too, Jeff. Those are tough. Those are tough sells. But tell you what, if Coach Odom could put me in touch with any of those, what did he call them? Something donor, high dollar donors or something like that, or key donors. Put me in touch with one of them. See what kind of sponsorship opportunities
for a show.
I'll go wherever you want me to go.
Ain't no doubt.
But anyway, can't thank Coach enough. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give us a 5-star rating. Leave a review. Most importantly, man, tell your family and friends. Tell your other UNLV or whatever school you root for. Tell your other fans about us. Check out the show. We are in a Twitter war right now with Josh Pate on the Group of 5 playoff. But make sure you tell your family and friends about us. Jump over there on all the social platforms at Group of 5 Guys. Give us a follow. We would certainly appreciate it. That's all we got for you guys tonight. Thank you so much for watching and listening.